Hello, and welcome to another episode of Learn English with Stories. I'm your host, David, and today I'm going to share a story that will touch your heart and remind you of the value of gratitude and determination. This tale is called The Old School Bag. Let's dive into this inspiring story together. In a bustling town surrounded by rolling hills, there lived a young boy named Liam. Liam was a bright and curious child who loved school, but his family was struggling to make ends meet. His father worked long hours as a laborer, and his mother took on sewing jobs to support the family. Despite their efforts, money was always tight. One sunny morning, as Liam prepared for his first day at a new school, he noticed the other children carrying shiny new backpacks. They came in vibrant colors with zippers that gleamed in the sunlight. Liam, however, only had his father's old, tattered leather school bag. The bag was scuffed, its straps frayed, and one of the buckles barely held together. Liam hesitated as he picked up the bag. What if the other kids make fun of me? He wondered. But he knew his parents had worked hard to make sure he could attend school, and he didn't want to disappoint them. When he arrived at school, his fears came true. A group of children pointed at his bag and snickered. "Looks like that bag is older than you," one of them teased. Liam felt a lump form in his throat, but he held his head high and walked to his classroom. Over the weeks, Liam began to focus less on the teasing and more on his studies. His teachers noticed his enthusiasm and praised his hard work. One day, his history teacher, Mrs. Carter, assigned a project where each student had to bring in an item with a story behind it. "It can be anything," she said, "as long as it means something to you." Liam thought long and hard about what to bring. At first, he felt he had nothing special to share. But then he looked at his old school bag and remembered the stories his father had told him about it. His father had used the bag when he was Liam's age. It had carried books, notebooks, and dreams of a better future. Despite its worn appearance, the bag had been a part of his father's journey to becoming the hard-working man he was today. On the day of the presentation, Liam stood nervously in front of the class. He held up the bag and began to speak. "This is my school bag," he said. Some of his classmates giggled, but he continued. "It may not look like much, but it belonged to my father when he was my age. He used it to carry his books to school, even when life was hard. This bag reminds me of how much my parents have sacrificed so that I can be here today." The classroom fell silent as Liam shared the story of his family's struggles and resilience. When he finished, Mrs. Carter stood and clapped. "Thank you, Liam," she said. "You've reminded us all that the value of something isn't in how it looks, but in the story it carries." As Liam continued his studies, he began to notice something remarkable. His classmates, who had once teased him, started treating him with respect. Some of them even asked about his father's journey and the lessons he had shared with Liam. It was as if the old school bag had become a bridge, connecting Liam's story to those of his peers. One day, a girl named Emma approached Liam after class. She held out a book with a worn cover and said, "This belonged to my grandmother. She used to read it to me when I was little. Your story about the bag made me realize how special it is. I think I'll share it for the next project." Liam smiled. "That's a great idea, Emma. Sometimes, the things we take for granted have the most meaning." The old school bag continued to accompany Liam through his school years. Each scratch and scuff became a testament to his growth and resilience. When Liam struggled with a difficult subject or faced challenges at home, he would look at the bag and remember his father's words. Hard work and perseverance will take you further than anything else. As Liam grew older, he began to dream of becoming a teacher. He wanted to inspire others the way Mrs. Carter had inspired him. He worked tirelessly, earning scholarships and juggling part-time jobs to pay for his education. Through it all, the old school bag remained by his side, a symbol of his determination. Years later, when Liam finally achieved his dream of becoming a teacher, he decided to share the story of the old school bag with his students. On the first day of class, he placed the bag on his desk and said, "This may look like an ordinary bag, but it carries a lifetime of lessons." The students leaned forward, curious. Liam told them about his father's sacrifices, the teasing he endured, and the pride he eventually found in carrying the bag. "This bag taught me that what matters most isn't how something looks, but the effort and love behind it," he said. "And it reminds me that no matter how tough life gets, you can overcome it with hard work and gratitude." The story resonated deeply with his students. Over time, they began bringing their own meaningful items to share with the class. One student brought a quilt her mother had sewn. Another shared a pocket watch passed down from his grandfather. The classroom became a place where stories and lessons were shared freely, creating a strong sense of community. As the years went by, Liam's reputation as a teacher who connected with his students grew. He often received letters from former students thanking him for the lessons he had taught them, not just about academics, but about life. One letter read, "Dear Mr. Liam, thank you for showing us that true value isn't in what we have, but in how we cherish it. Your story about the old school bag has stayed with me, and I've learned to appreciate the little things in my life." Liam kept the letters in a box alongside his old school bag. Every time he read them, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that the lessons he shared were rippling outward, touching lives in ways he couldn't have imagined. One summer, Liam decided to visit his childhood home. His parents, now older but still full of warmth, welcomed him with open arms. As they sat together, Liam placed the old school bag on the table and said, "This bag has been with me through everything. It started with you, Dad. Thank you for giving me something so valuable." His father smiled, his eyes glistening with pride. "It's not the bag that's valuable, son," he said. "It's what you've done with it. You've turned it into a legacy." The story of the old school bag reminds us that true value lies not in appearances, but in the meaning and memories behind something. It also shows us the importance of gratitude and resilience in the face of challenges. As you listen to this story, think about the items in your life that hold special meaning. What stories do they tell? How can they inspire you to keep moving forward? If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need a little inspiration today. Let's continue to learn and grow together, one story at a time. Thank you for joining me, David, today. Until next time, carry your dreams with pride, just like Liam carried his old school bag. Goodbye and take care.